Good morning, Facebook. So I wanted to hop on here and share some important information as we're heading into this Aquarius full moon, which is on August 19th. So today, Mercury by retrograde forms this YOD again with Neptune in Pisces retrograde and Pluto retrograde in Aquarius. So Mercury formed this YOD on July 25th, and that was by direct motion. Then it continued to move on into Virgo, and then went retrograde in Virgo, 4 degrees of Virgo. So where is that in your chart? What house is it in? Because this is giving you some clues around this Mercury retrograde and how you can fine-tune your own thinking, perceptions, beliefs, and working with all the transits that's going on right now. Because Mercury, being the messenger, this is how we transmit information, how we receive information. So what information are you getting personally? Now, Mercury went retrograde on August 5th at 4 Virgo, and then has now retrograded back into Leo, and is again forming this YOD, Mercury being the apex of the YOD. Remember, a YOD is when we have two planets that are sextile to each other, which is a 60-degree angle. And then we have a third planet, which is called the apex planet, and that planet is making two different quincunxes with those sextile planets. And a quincunx is always it's an energy requiring adjustment, because when we have a trine, such as with Leo, from Aries to Leo, that trine is quite abundant. It's things that have built up into a big expression. And in that big expression, it can actually inhibit itself from receiving back from the environment that which it's going for. Right? So a quincunx is about really fine-tuning, and it is about how we can fine-tune our own expression in order to receive what we're desiring to receive. Because remember, Virgo, so the progression of the signs or psychological development goes from Leo to Virgo to Libra. So Virgo is about fine-tuning that big expression that was the cultivation of the personal ego in order to contribute one's personal, unique, evolutionary purpose and brilliance and light, right? But we don't want to do that so much that we are not giving space to receive light as well, right? So with Virgo, we're fine-tuning, we're improving, we're discerning what is effective and what is not effective, so that when we get into relationship, one-on-one, Libra, then we can actually receive in relationship. And not only just give, but we're receiving as well. And this is where we then have a mutual regeneration that can happen in any kind of relationship. So with Mercury coming into this apex again, as it's retrograde, and as we're moving into this Aquarius full moon that's going to be on August 19th, this is about really getting the messages that we need in order to really refine our own ego. Now, as we've been building up to this particular YOD, we had a mutable grand cross in the sky, which included the moon, so it was very quick. And this was with this Mars-Jupiter conjunction in Gemini, coming into a square with Saturn in Pisces and Venus in Virgo, moving into an opposition to Saturn retrograde. Now remember that Neptune retrograde in Pisces is part of this YOD. And remember that Neptune is it's an outermost planet, right? So think about Neptune as it's containing all realities, all things, the collective unconscious, all belief systems, all ideas. It's everything. So now with Saturn in Pisces, Saturn is our personal reality. And our personal reality is real for us, but it doesn't contain all things. And this is why we want to receive the light from others. We want there to be space so that others can continue to inform us, so that we're expanding our consciousness. So it doesn't mean that we have to agree upon all possible realities. It doesn't, in other words, it doesn't necessarily mean that we want all possible realities in our reality, personally, what we choose. So remember that Saturn retrograde in Pisces is about really discerning what ingredients, what belief systems, what ideas actually really serve the personal reality that I desire. And remember that I lost my train of thought because I just got flooded with a lot of different ideas there. Ultimately, where I was going is that Saturn in Pisces is really where we can, especially retrograde, we can be actually really discerning what. I'm just moving around because I'm not having a great internet connection here. So Saturn retrograde, what belief systems, what ideas actually serve our personal reality that we're building for ourselves, and what does not? This is what Saturn retrograde in Pisces is. Now remember, at the Aquarius full moon, or if you don't already know, at the Aquarius full moon that we're moving into, Venus is going to be in an exact opposition to Saturn retrograde. So what, in this discerning piece, what relationships, relating, what ideas really serve us personally? What do we really personally value? What is personally valuable to us in the realm of all possibilities, all ideas, right? What serves our own reality that we're building? And it doesn't mean that our reality is more correct than another's. It's just different. It just is, because Neptune and Source is everything. It's all things. It's all things. So, you know, I was very moved by an idea that I came across from an astrologer. His name is Gray Crawford, and he said that, you know, we think of Neptune as illusion, and it can be, yes. We think of Saturn as reality, and it can be, yes. But really, in some ways, Saturn, it's our personal reality. And in some ways, that's the illusion. And Neptune is more real because it contains all realities. When you think about Source and God, think about that. God is all things. We can see it by the very creation that we see. There's different realities going on. There's flowers who are having their own reality. And then there's, you know, the couch that's having its reality, or humans that are having its reality, and cats that are having their reality, right? There isn't, it's not that my reality is more real than the cat's reality, or vice versa. It contains all things. So our personal reality is one little iota of all realities. So in some ways, our personal reality is more illusory than the Neptunian reality, which contains all things. So something to consider. I personally love that concept because I think it's very true. So as Mercury is in this YOD again, as the apex planet and retrograde, we can be having our ongoing personal revelations around how we've constructed our own personal reality and how we've been influenced to construct that personal reality based on the ideas that we've subscribed to, that we've osmosed in the collective unconscious, that we osmosed from our family line, or the groups that we've been involved with, or friendships that we've been involved with. Pluto Aquarius. And, you know, we can be having a personal revelation. Sorry, I'm just getting a message. So, what's your personal revelation? Because whatever clues you're getting, this is important. This is going to give you the information personally to build your personal reality in the ways that is actually most constructive to you and what you're building. You know, Mercury can definitely be judgments. And I say judgments in the sense of, I think people get confused judgment with discernment. I think of judgment as more harsh, where it's like, well, we know what reality is and they don't, you know? And that isn't necessarily positioning ourselves to be receptive to a more all-encompassing truth, or encompassing truth, right? So we are limiting ourselves when we do that. However, if we use discernment and recognize, well, this works, this resonates for me, but this, and then this doesn't, you know, and that's okay. Maybe it resonates for someone else. Then we're keeping ourselves in this vibration of receiving the information that's going to fuel our next steps in building our personal reality. It also assists us to really see our differences, quote unquote, that actually assists us to see what really resonates and what doesn't, which it gets more clear with that, right? So when we are aware of ideas that don't actually make sense to us, it actually helps us to make more sense of what we do really resonate with, right? So I think this has been a lot of the collective conditioning, is to think that there's one truth or there's one reality. But reality contains, like, it's all things. And when we tap into that, we're actually more fueled. Sorry, I'm trying to get this light in the right so you can see me. So I hope this is helpful. This is such a great YOD that's been forming, and with Mercury. And remember, Mercury is going to go direct, and then it's going to lock into this YOD again. And that is on, I can't remember. I know I've looked at it before, but I'll look it up again. That's going to be, so Mercury's going to go direct at 21 degrees on August 28th. I should know that because that's right before my birthday. And then it's going to form this YOD again in direct motion on September 9th. That's right, September 9th. So the fact that this YOD is forming right before the full moon coming in Aquarius, and after this mutable grand cross that we just had, that was really potent, I feel, because it involved the Mars-Jupiter conjunction. And remember, it's in Gemini. That conjunction was in Gemini. And so when Mercury was direct and an apex of this YOD on July 25th, Mars was in a waxing conjunction to Jupiter, and it was balsamic, meaning completing. Now Mars has moved beyond Jupiter, creating a new phase conjunction with Jupiter and Gemini. And so as Mercury is now retrograde at the apex of the YOD, we remember Mercury rules Gemini. So this is important. So it refers back to that Mars-Jupiter conjunction. So now we can, potentially find ourselves recognizing where we can be more open to all kinds of different information, really navigating it and allowing it to assist us to really discern what ideas really serve us personally, what ideas don't really serve us personally, but they are a great reflection to really get solid on what really does serve us and what we're personally building. The coming full moon in Aquarius is a big one because Uranus, the ruler of the full moon, is square the sun and the moon. Uranus, this is going to dislodge any kind of ideas that are inhibiting our own brilliance. Uranus is the awakener. It's like the defibrillator. I always think of Uranus as a defibrillator. Defibrillator. Am I saying that right? It's like awakening the heart. It's like, wake up. Come back to life. Come back into your heart, right? Come back into your own self-actualization of your heart and your love and what you love, because that's your brilliance naturally, right? So if we have ideas that are inhibiting that because they're really not our ideas, we've been taught to believe or think that, then it's going to dim our light. It's going to dim what we can create. Uranus wants to assist us. Pluto in Aquarius wants to assist us to be and own our own creation. But we have to be self-responsible. Saturn, as it rules Capricorn and Aquarius. Pluto's moving back into Capricorn. Where are we needing to take responsibility for our own creation and actually really recognize that we build our reality with our ideas. So if we're holding ideas that are not ours, it can really be contributing to why we're not manifesting what we desire to manifest. So there's going to be a lot more on this coming Aquarius full moon. There's been so much going on. I am navigating this in my own life, and like, what do I write about? What do I want to come live about? What do I want to do videos on? I mean, there's so much to talk about. But I will be doing some stuff for this Aquarius full moon because it's huge. It's probably one of the biggest full moons of this year. And it is about catapulting us into the new. And with Uranus, it's kind of like whether we like it or not. But it is to serve us. So whatever it dislodges, whatever disruptions it brings, it's really to serve us so that it awakens us into really loving ourselves enough to actually do the work, to go in and go, what kind of ideas am I holding? Is it serving me? What do I need to eliminate? What do I need to integrate? What do I need to eliminate in order to integrate, right? And Uranus, remember, Uranus is about integration, and where it is we do not integrate, we experience as trauma. So we can actually inflict trauma on ourselves when we're too fixed in our ideas, when we're not open to receiving not only ideas that we resonate with, but also ideas we don't, so that we can be selective in our own process. But remember, when we are overly rigid and we think that others' realities need to be reflective of our own, then we inhibit all the information that can actually really assist us to recognize who we are. When we try to have other people be who we are, it's the highest form of arrogance, And all of the fire signs can really be expressing, it can be the part of us that becomes arrogant and narcissistic because we think everybody else needs to be like us or believe like us. But that's really, in some ways, projecting this idea of what God is. And in a way, we all have our own relationship with God or source, creator, however you want to, describe that. And the thing is that it contains all things, all possibilities in order for it to be infinite creation. So you, as an infinite creator, are bringing that into infinite creation. And remember, what I love about the fact that we have mutable signs, cardinal signs, and fixed signs is that with mutable signs, now remember, cardinal is what initiates new things. Fixed is what stabilizes our momentum and what we choose to initiate, right? Mutable is where we get to actually, it's mutable, it's flowing, it adapts, right? And remember, Mars, Jupiter, and Gemini, that's a mutable sign. The mutable signs assist us to actually change our minds so that we can change our creation. So if there's something we don't desire in our lives, we always have another chance to create something new. And this happens with entertaining new ideas, new ways of perceiving things, and new ways of communicating things. Because all creation is really just communicating, right? So we've got this mutable Grand Cross that we're coming off of, right? This mutable energy with Saturn, and as Venus is going to oppose that Saturn at the full moon, right? Mars and Jupiter and Gemini. We can change our minds to change our creation. So if there's something that you're wanting to change in your life, this is the time. Look to see what you're perceiving. Look to see what ideas you're communicating about. Look to see how you're communicating. Look to see what information you gravitate to. Look to see what information triggers you, because those triggers are great gifts. It's the cue in self-investigation. Often when we get triggered, we want to project onto what is triggering us. But that trigger is a mirror for us to go inward, not outward first, but inward first, so that then we can move in a new direction, a new way of perceiving, and actually dislodge any ideas that are actually inhibiting us. Because if we're triggered by information, it means we've got an idea that's inhibiting in us rather than setting us free, rather than liberating us. As we move into the Aquarius full moon, it wants to liberate us, and it will. So I hope this is helpful. If so, please let me know. Like, comment, share, and I'll see you in the next live.